Hello and welcome to the 1 level 60 guide. Today I'm going to be talking a bit about reputation in the Storm Legion expansion and the various perks associated with it. So in total at max level in Storm Legion there are 8 different factions. Now I know what you're thinking, oh no, I'm probably going to have to divorce my wife, deflate my blow up girlfriend and sell my kids on eBay. But don't worry, I'm going to teach you, which one you need to go for and sort of give you a few tips. So first off, just going to start by quickly covering all of the eight. So let us have a look. We have the Akiati, Hylol, the Eternal City Survivors, Necropolis Caretakers, Imperial Alliance, the Karaji, and Torven Hunters, and the Lysini. Now, in terms of which one you want to go for first and which one gives the most benefit, I think it's without a shadow of the doubt the Torven Hunters, which as you can see I'm fairly lazy on the rep, and that's the only one I myself have actually maxed out because I'm not too fond of reputation grinds. Now, the reason the Torven Hunters one is so good and you want to go for it is the Torven Hunters are basically, you need that rep to get any of the best in slot essences. And if you look, for example, at my sigil at the moment, they're mostly filled with the Verenated, which is the max rank of Torven Hunter's rep essences. And these, in comparison to sort of green essences and the ones you get from daily raid rifts, are just about 30 stats higher across the board. They're just absolutely insane. Let's see if I got anything to compare it to. So yeah, I think if you look at that one, that's something that drops from a raid rift, and then you've got something like this one, and the amount of stats on there, the extra endurance, really sort of just absolutely wins. And also the best in slot cape as well comes from the Torven Hunters rep, so that makes it the most desirable one to go for first. Just going on a bit about what the other factions provide. Pretty much all of the other factions give some sort of enchant. Now, if you go into the Rift store and then click on Equipment and Runes, you can see all the various enchants they give. So the first one is Bell, and this is by Necropolis Caretakers. As you can see, it's sort of there's one for Glorified, which is basically when you've maxed out the rep, and there's one for Honored. Now, if you've been questing in Storm Legion, by the time you actually reach max level, you should be honoured with most of the factions in this sort of section that give enchants. So getting to Glorified may not be worth the time invested in comparison to Torven Hunters. For example, let's just have a look and compare these two. This would be a, if I took the time to grind Necropolis Caretakers, it'd be about a 17 Wisdom upgrade and 9 Endurance, compared to, Torven Hunters, where I'm getting pretty much sort of 30 Wisdom plus across the board on each essence. And also I think the cloak, in comparison to, well, there is no sort of decent cloak that drops from dungeons or anything. The only one drops from Crucia, and that's an alright cloak, but the cloak that you get from the rep is about sort of 30-40 wisdom better. This is just from a cleric point of view. The cloak from Torven Hunters basically trumps everything that drops anywhere, and it's just so amazingly overpowered. So without a doubt, Torven Hunters is the first rep you want to go for. Now, also, while you're gaining Torven Hunter's rep, you will also gain rep for the Lysini. That also gives some very, very good essences. If you want a full best in slot core, you'll also want to max that out as well. Lysini rep can be gained from killing planar invaders, closing rifts, basically anything that involves planes and zone invasions. Whereas, now I'm going to elaborate this, just, tell you how to get the Torven Hunters rep. There are a few ways to do it. So, the first way, which is most commonly done, is there's usually a group of people in the Shora knocking about and doing great hunt rifts. Now, these take about, it kind of depends on the group, but these take about 10 minutes each to complete. About 5 minutes for the waves, and then about another 5 minutes for the boss. So I don't think they're only going on this shard at the moment, but the way you can find out when Great Hunt Rift groups are going on, because there's usually quite a big group of people farming them. Unfortunately, I'm on Galedra EU, which doesn't seem to have too much activity in terms of people farming rep. In the EU region, most of it appears to be on Zaviel. So yeah, that's why there's not too much going on. But if you just hover over Rifts, you can see where sort of the majority of people at. And anything that has above 10 people is usually a hunt rift. So yeah, you can sort of use that to determine where to go if you're just looking to farm a bit of rep. With the induction to 2.4, the most common sort of way of farming Torven Hunter's rep appears to be strongholds in the Dendrome. Now, I've sort of tested which one gives them more rep per sort of hour, and they both come back very different in a way, because with the strongholds in the Dendrome, it's very randomized on what sort of bosses you get. So sometimes there can be end bosses at the strongholds, which can absolutely just destroy everybody there, and then everybody's like, fuck this, we're leaving, and that can really slow things up. But sometimes in the Great Hunt Rifts, for example, people won't drag the boss to the cannons, and therefore his damage reduction shield won't get removed, and he basically just won't go down for ages until somebody shouts at the tank endlessly for like 5 minutes until he moves. So it very much depends on sort of how many people are doing it. If you're on a high population shard, the best thing probably in regards to getting Torven Hunter's rep is go to the Dendrome, see if there are any stronghold groups going on. You've got to keep an eye on 60 chat. What I'd suggest is finding out what is the most popular server in your region. For example, EU is without a doubt at the moment is Zaviel, and then joining their level 60 chat, maybe put in a new tab like I have at the bottom, and then if anything's going on, you can just sort of have a look down there and see, and then join the group and start farming the rep away. There are various daily quests associated with strongholds and Great Hunt Rifts. The one for Great Hunt Rifts is located in Tempest Bay in the Hall of Daily and Weekly Quests, which is around here-ish on the map. And the one for the strongholds is just located somewhere in Hylol. So that is sort of the two main ways of getting Torven Hunter's rep. The other way is that you can use the Mark of Notoriety. So every time you do an invasion, basically, you get a Mark of Notoriety, and you can turn 10 of these in at once, and that gives you 1,000 rep. Now you can turn them in at Tempest Bay, so essentially this will be a bit slower way of doing things, but it may be a bit more enjoyable for yourself. Maybe if you're sick of strongholds or Great Hunt Rifts, you can just go and go around the old world, mentor down, tag some invasions in Storm Legion, and just do the kind of general stuff you enjoy. A bit of a disclaimer as well in regards to reputation and is it needed for raiding? Do I need to max out all my reps? I've actually cleared currently absolutely everything in the game before I maxed out my rep, including hard modes. I know I was with quite a few people who had maxed out their rep, but in terms of performance there wasn't that much of a gap. So, and also with sort of recent changes, I think it's absolutely possible to clear everything without maxing out any reps at all, but it is making it that a little bit harder, and especially when you come to the hard modes, if your guild is doing them, if you don't have the essences from Torven Hunter's rep, then you're going to lack that extra sort of bit of endurance and find it very hard to survive on fights like Galedra, for example, when she's dishing out random 20k hits and everybody's just getting owned. So it really depends on what your guild needs, but without a doubt I'd suggest pretty much focus all your time and resources into getting maxed out with Torven Hunters, but also ensure that you've got honoured with every faction that grants a rune like this. So even if you haven't got the best one, you've got something to put on your belt, you've got something to put on your cape, just to give you that little bit of extra boost to stats. And in terms of like getting to honored, it's really really easy for every faction. There's tons of ways to do it. So my final sort of recommendations would be, until you're maxed out with pretty much everything, I would say at level 60 it's definitely worth getting patron status and subscribing, just due to the fact that every day you get a patron's notoriety vial, which accumulates over the time. So if you go away for a week, which I have recently, then I've just basically got, and well, they're kind of unlimited because I'm never gonna play enough to have 0 charges on them. So basically, whenever I play, I'm getting 40% more notoriety, 40% more token currency, and 40% more planner attunement experience. But I'm not gonna go into sort of tokens and experience now. But in regards to sort of easing off the grind a bit, then I definitely suggest subbing, getting the notoriety vials, and you'll find things just fly through. I mean, Torven Hunters just went so much better and smoother after the free-to-play transition for myself, and it's not as bad as it used to be, so that's also an additional perk. So one last thing I'm going to mention is currently not up, but the Dendrome has certain events that basically are kind of like hunt events. So what will happen is they basically all have the same format, so I can sort of tell you what to look out for. The event will go something like close 2 normal hunt rifts, and then close 2 great hunt rifts, and then a boss will spawn. Now, if you kill this boss and participate in this zone event, then you'll get 3 tokens, which give 1k notoriety each, and you can basically consume them. So for doing the event, you get 3k notoriety, and if you have your vial on while consuming these, that'll give you a 40% bonus to that, so it'll be 1.4k rep for each token you consume. So just keep an eye out for those, tag them where available. And the final thing is to ensure that basically in Tempest Bay there's a quest chain of Torven Hunters rep that you should have initially started while leveling up to 60, and each quest gives about 1,000 rep upon completion. They're all fairly easy to do, so if you get all of those, and make sure you do them, maybe if you're not 60 yet, just ensure you do them, ensure you've got it ready for the time you hit max level, and then you'll have quite a nice chunk of Torven Hunters rep already there. And while you're doing those quests, I can also try and advise that have a vial on, so that you get bonus rep for handing them in. You can only complete those quests once. That'll alleviate some of the grind. Just whenever you can, just put a vial on and use the consumable. I understand some people may have problems and can't afford that. That's fine. You'll still get there. You'll just get there a bit slower, Anyway, I hope this notoriety guide, sorry, I'm struggling to pronounce that word a bit, has been of use and given a bit of an insight to a few people out there. Best of luck, and if you are recently reached 60 with a load of friends who have no idea what they're doing, point them in this direction, and hopefully you can give them a bit of guidance and wisdom. Thank you for watching.